Hi everyone, episode 6. She Stole My Heart. Is that what I called it? I can't remember. Losing track. Today I'm joined by Coco, who's going to annoy me while I'm filming. I left you with a question. Did John tell his cleaner, Triple X, about his episode, what he did, the soapy massage? She's sort of been working for him now for a few weeks, and they're getting quite pally, more like a friendship. And he didn't tell her. If he had told her, then there could have been a few problems. I'm sure at the back of her mind she was going to try and hook John to be a boyfriend, and by telling her that, she would have known that he was prepared to pay for aerobics. That might have given her some ammunition. Luckily he didn't tell her, which was a good move, John. Over the coming weeks, he was just sort of falling into a little bit of a routine. He kept going drinking at the Aussie bar near where his bungalow was, and he got chatting to the boys there. You know, they just kept ripping into him about the soapy massage episode, but they started talking to him about all the other various I can't believe it, every time I come and sit somewhere the wind gets up. I can't find anywhere with no wind. Frustrating. This is that time of year in Thailand where it's starting to warm up towards the summer, and here, surrounded by rice fields, the wind you can't get out of the wind. Not enough hidden spots. Let's see how this goes. He started chatting to the boys, and they start opening up a bit and talking to him about the other types of bars. And they'd already mentioned places like Soy Six, grab bars, gentlemen's clubs, go-go bars and stuff. And he still didn't really have an idea. He was unsure of it all. He hadn't come to Thailand to find another wife. Yeah, now that wind's picking up that way. He hadn't come here for he's still missing his wife, he's still missing his son. He's still grieving in some ways. And yeah, he's not come here for that. He really hasn't. It's hard for him. I want to be the star. There you go. So he was sort of in a funny place at the moment. He wasn't interested in having a girlfriend. He wasn't interested in going to all these other bars the boys were talking about. They all, as he kept asking them, at the end of the day, they are all a place where you're either going to get some form of sex, or you're going to get a potential girlfriend if you're not careful. So he's not looking for that. But he's still inquisitive about it all. You know, he's still going to have to go. And he does. The boys take him over the few weeks to a go-go bar. They take him to some of the grab bars, and they even take him to Soy Six. He experiences it a little bit. And he's not mad on it at all, which is good, especially with someone with his amount of money in the bank. He gets to the stage where a lot of expats come to Thailand and they start dabbling their feet in the water, tipping their toes in the water. And then they're like, right, I must do something with my retirement. I must do something. And he starts thinking about exercise, which is a good thing. He's getting bored. He's got nothing really to do apart from the usual stuff. So he starts figuring out he needs to explore and find some places that he can walk a few kilometres every day. And because he still doesn't know the area, he talks to the boys. He doesn't want to walk around near his bungalow on the roads and the soys because they're quite narrow, and there's always bikes coming down and cars, and you can get run over. So the ideal place is probably the beach. And he has already looked at the main Pattaya beach, and it's nice. But the boys say go over to Jomtien, have a look there. He doesn't know where it is, and the boys tell him, you need a bar bus, a Songtel. And he didn't know where to catch it or anything. Going on the bike, he's still nervous on the bike. So a couple of the boys said, we'll take you over. We'll go over for an evening. There's quite a few bars there. But they just take him however they get there, maybe one of their cars or something. But he sees Jomtien for the first time properly. And they start explaining the road system and Songtels. But one of the boys, not his friend still, he hasn't seen much of him, one that lives in Pattaya. One of his friends said, look, tomorrow morning we'll go down the road and I'll show you where we get the Songtels from. And I'll take you over to Jomtien. We'll get a coffee and I'll show you properly. So off they went. And it's quite easy to get there, and he soon susses it out. And the beach there it's lovely. It's clean. It's cleaner than the main beach, it seems to be. And a lot more room to wander around. So over the next few days, he goes on his own, and he starts walking up and down the beach. He's found his way to get there. And he goes up and down the beach, a couple of kilometres, maybe 3-4 kilometres every single day, and gets into a bit of a routine. That's what's needed. He needs some sort of exercise. So now, as you're walking up and down the beach, of course, there are people and ladies that may stop you. I'm coming back to the table. May stop you and offer you all sorts of services, and this is quite common, especially in the daytime. And he's not interested. However, on the one morning, a very pretty, very slim lady, probably in her 40s, says hello to him, and she's got sort of it's not a gym outfit. Anyway, it's like a lycra 2-piece suit or something, walking, I don't know what they're called. And she says hello to him as she goes past him, and he thinks, whoa, there's a pretty lady. And later on, as he's turning around coming back, he spots her again, and she says, how are you? Morning. Carries on past, and he's like, And this is how it always starts, isn't it? Familiarization, meeting someone, talking to them a few times. Over the coming 2 or 3 days, he keeps seeing this lady. They keep saying hello. And whatever day it is, as he's turning around at the end of the Jomtien beach to come back, she's coming towards him and she stops to say hello. And he asks, what's her name? Jum. Here's a clue. And asks a couple of questions, Where do you live? Are you from round Jomtien? Do you come every day? And all this. Anyway. And she's like, chats away to him for just a couple of minutes. And then off she goes again. And then a few days go by. And they keep stopping. He's starting to make sure he's there at the times that she's there. And that's how it always starts. On the one day, he goes a bit earlier. He walks up and comes back, knowing that she'll come back down and maybe finish at that point. Sure enough, she comes down. And he's like, "Morning, Jum, how are you? What do you do now after you've done your walk?" And she's like, "Huh. What do you do now after you do your walk?" And she says, "Well, I normally go home and have a shower and relax and get some breakfast." No, he didn't say to her, "Can I come with you?" And he said, "Would you like to meet for a coffee?" And she's like, And he said, "Oh, actually," he said, "I'm sorry." He said, "I should have asked you. Are you married? Are you in a relationship or anything?" And she said, "No, I know, I'm single and not in a relationship." Luckily for him. And he really fancies this Jum. And she's like, She said, I could go for breakfast, but I want to go home first, shower, change, and maybe lunch." And he said, "Okay." He said, "I don't really know the area. I haven't been here that long. And I'm new to Jomtien. So," here comes Sam. He says, "I don't really know the area and I live over on the dark side." And she's like, "Okay." She said, "Well, I live in Jomtien, well, near the hill." And he's like, "Which hill?" "Whatever it's called, Pratamak Hill or anything. I think it's Pratamak, isn't it?" "I live up the hill there," pointing. She says, "Okay." So he said, "Well, do you know a restaurant we can meet up and maybe I can figure out how to get there?" And she comes up with a couple of restaurants in the area of the hill. And I don't know where they were or what the names were. He says, "Okay." He says, "I'll make a note." And he didn't have a pen and paper, so he got his phone out and looked on Google Maps, and he's asked her, "Can you show me?" And she showed this one. For argument's sake, let's call it the Hotel Cabbages and Condoms, because they used to do coffees and breakfast and things. Let's just say it was there. So she points out where it is on the map and everything. Okay. And at this time, it was about 11:30 in the morning. So she said 2:00. That's a late lunch, but 2:00 gives her time to get ready. And he said, okay. He shot off home, put a nice shirt on, blazing hot weather, and trousers, and got himself all together and decided that he was going to ride his bike instead of songtails, because he didn't know where this hill was. And he set off. He got home, he got everything done. He set off early at 1:00. So I'm going to ride, I'm going to find this hill, I've got the Google Maps. And off he went. And he got there, no problem. It only took him about 25 minutes, so he's like, okay. Parked his bike up, went in to this place and just ordered a drink. He was half hour early. Must be love. And he didn't know what to expect from Jum when she turned up. How would she be dressed? Would she be dressed in a scruffy pair of jeans and a t-shirt, or what? She turned up about 10 minutes early, and she was in a blouse and a skirt and looked quite upmarket, to say the least. He went across to meet her as she came in, and they sat down at the table. They had a 2-hour lunch, chatting away, getting to know each other, telling each other their life stories. Turns out that she had quite a few stories with tour businesses. She had a tour business in Pattaya for years and years, and her husband had died, Thai husband. A couple of kids grown up and gone. And she'd sold the business. She got her own condo, all paid for, and sold the business and retired. And she's 42 or 43. He's quite a bit older, isn't he? 25 years older? Jum. Sounds nice. But he's not looking for a girlfriend or a wife, is he? Right, I'll catch you on the next one. It's hot. Ta-ra for now.